measurement, the ones that we just saw before, that's the 3 months afterwards of a control group of children who've had no intervention whatsoever. We haven't got round to them yet. We'll deal with them later in the year when we can. And that's the post-training side. You can see there, that red, that's little or no road safety awareness elements of it. But it's virtually diminished. It's fallen from 40-something% down to less than 10%. Just by that simple exposure to the real-life environment and relevant contextual training. Not training, exposure is the word I much prefer. So, there we go. It was an issue that we had, where we had a terrible casualty problem with children of that age, 5 to 11 years of age. Something that we couldn't deal with ourselves in terms of training because we didn't have the capacity within our team. Very few teams do. Many teams use parent volunteers and that. We tried that. But you see, the problem is with that, we weren't communicating with the parents we needed to communicate. We often found that the volunteers were very motivated anyway. And with the parents who tended to, secure their children from that sort of danger. The people we needed to communicate with were the ones who didn't really understand what the danger was in the first place. So the parent volunteer was fine for actually getting a few more children up on the roadside. But we found it very difficult to manage, how should we say, to standardise the actual level of training, to upskill the parents to the level of the experienced trainers whose only role is this job. So we don't use the volunteer route in terms of that. And I'm not critical of it because in many cases it works in different contexts. But it just didn't work for us at that time. So we have to take it back in hand. I told you we had a problem. Here's 1997. That was the Department of Transport standard indicator, the baseline measurements, as you'll all be familiar with, in terms of casualties. And as all highway authorities, you'll know that we had to reduce casualties by 50% amongst children, killed or seriously injured, by the year 2010. Well, we achieved that, goodness knows when. Back in whatever it was, in terms of that. Now, we've talked earlier on today about the effect of different measures on reducing casualties, and how you can determine if one thing can do a thing and one thing can do another. How you can attribute these things. It's very difficult, as you know. But all I can say is, having been in Knowsley for 21 years, I don't see, there's been no major issue in terms of environmental change. Our traffic carbon has been in place since the 1990s, and has not changed measurably since that time. Of 1 or 2 housing developments that have sprung up and have been designed to new cul-de-sac layouts rather than the through roads. There is an issue about the police these days are very much more concentratedly focused on speed management issues, and there's a little bit of evidence to suggest that the vehicle speeds are a mile or two lower than they actually were before. And I'm not suggesting that just this has helped or has caused that effect in any way, shape or form, but something's working in terms of that. You can't have that degree of reduction. And this is just between 5 to 11-year-old children. It's very, very similar to other casualties. We were fortunate to receive beacon status in 2006, I think it was, for reducing child casualties in the borough. And one thing for sure now, I don't get calls from the DFT giving me pain anymore in terms of that. And it's not something I'd like to go back to in any way, shape or form. But we have got this issue of 5 to 11-year-old children not under control, because there's still children being killed or injured. We'll get it fully under control, as you'll appreciate in terms of that. What I was most pleased of, though, is the feedback that we get from parents in terms of this, because we provide parents, first of all, with that assessment of the children's lack of understanding, all we can say at this moment of time, and that opportunity, that 5 or 10 minutes opportunity in the playground at the end of the day, when those mums and dads are standing there waiting for the children to come out, is absolutely invaluable to us. And we get tremendous feedback from the mums and dads. So much so now we're on 2nd and 3rd generation children who, originally, maybe, 5-year-olds, now they're 7, 9, 11 years of age. And we're coming across the younger brothers and sisters. And when we go back to this original, if I just go back to that thing now, that original thing, you can tell the difference in the parents that have engaged with this process. Because those children come to us, and on their first baseline assessments, Their scores are right up the scale compared to a child who may have had no exposure to any training whatsoever. And I'm not saying it's universally accepted by parents, because I think that would be absolutely unrealistic to expect. But one thing for sure, we've got a significant number of our parents who are actually engaging in this, because when we ask these children who come to us and who have older brothers and sisters who've gone through this process in years gone by, the children say to us, oh yes, I was out with my mum, or I was out with my grandpa, or I was out with whatever the case. And when we go back for our 3-month evaluations afterwards, the amount of children who will say to us, I've been, whatever it is, somebody's taken me out, and I've been teaching my granddad. Because this is the key to it, you see. It's ownership in terms of that. All the time, we say to the children, when we go into the classroom of 30 children, for example, and we'll say to a child, what it is, I'm a driver. I drive around in my car all day, and I've forgotten how to cross the road. Can you please teach me? And there's not one 5-year-old child who doesn't put their hand up and tell me that they can teach me how to cross the road. So the point is, it's allowing them to own this. And the bottom line is, if they can do that, they're more motivated. If you can get that damage and error avoidance element over to them, to allow them to understand that it's their behaviour that is the causation factor. Not many cars drive on pavements. Not many children are actually injured by that. 99% of children are actually injured through running out into the roads. And unless we can get them to understand, psychologically, motivationally, that it's their actions that are causing this issue, and it's not just a managed procedure of if this, then that, because the world is far too complex for a set of rules. Children are far too complex to accept that as a strategy for managing their road use in terms of that. If we can do that, if we can get these motivational, this ownership issue over to children, I think we'll go a long way towards, reducing the problems that we have. And this goes right across the age scale, or the age spectrum. What we do, and I'm not sure we've got time for this, have we? What time are we? 10 minutes. It's 18 minutes long. What I'm going to do, I'm going to leave you.
Is that a no there?
Well, not by me. I mean, I've got, not by me.
Yeah, I'm sure people have got questions as well. So perhaps
I'm very happy to answer the questions.
And then have some questions.
And I've got a carrier bag of those DVDs. If you want to take one away at the end of the day, just do so. I don't know whether I brought enough, but nevertheless, if you email me, my name's andywilson@knowsley.gov.uk. You'll find me, Andy Wilson at Knowsley. I'll send you a complimentary copy of the DVD sent out to parents. We found that we tried to communicate to them with leaflets in the past. Unfortunately, a leaflet, with all that we needed to get into it, it was like a Littlest catalogue. It just went like a concertina, this thing. And it was wholly useless. And it doesn't, to be honest, we do have some literacy issues as well within our borough, and those persons may well have been excluded from that. So we produced a DVD which actually talks about all the issues that I've talked about, expands far greater upon them, but shows children in a real life context, 5-year-old children, what they actually do, what they actually say, and what they actually do, or don't do, as the case may do. They say they're going to stop at the road, but they walk straight out.